Hello, this is the introductory video to Chapter 5, Rape and Child Molestation. Myths about rape include the belief that rape is committed only against strangers and that imprisoned men rape fellow male inmates to relieve sexual deprivation. In reality, most rapes occur between acquaintances, and the primary motive for rape in prison is the need to humiliate a victim. Forcible rape is a crime that involves having sexual intercourse without the victim's consent. 22% of women aged 18 to 90 reported having been sexually assaulted. A conservative estimate still places an average woman's chance of being raped at 1 in 10. The vast majority of rape victims know their rapists. In the past, rape was largely intra-racial, blacks raping blacks and whites raping whites. Today, rape has become considerably less intra-racial. Most rapes remain intra-racial because the majority of rapes involves whites raping whites, but a majority of black rapists now choose white victims. This change might be due to a lessening of racial segregation, a desire to get even with white society, or the enshrinement of the white female as the ideal of sexual attractiveness. Most rapists do some planning before they attack. They choose females who are vulnerable to attack, such as handicapped, drunk, or older women, or women who are timid and unassertive. Rapists look for places that can be easily entered and are relatively safe, such as old houses and apartments in rundown areas of a city. Most unreported rapes are committed by acquaintances and take place in the residence of either the victim or the offender. Assailants are more likely to use verbal or psychological coercion than guns and knives and to premeditate sex, which leads to rape when the victim does not comply. Victims see themselves as victims, but not as legitimate crime victims. Therefore, they rarely report the rape to the police. As many as 1/2 of all college students have been involved in sexual assault. It appears to be an extension of, rather than a departure from, the conventional pattern of male sexual behavior, where males are expected to be aggressive and achieve sexual conquests. Consequently, most assailants and their victims do not consider the event as rape, and victims either find it hard to believe that someone they knew raped them or blame themselves for what happened. Rape is particularly prevalent on college campuses. About 15% of college women report having been raped, although both rapists and their victims do not see the offense as forcible rape. This is due to the United States culture's defining aggressiveness with women as a highly desirable quality in young men. One study discovered that campuses where sexual assault is not seriously dealt with, heavy drinking is encouraged, and bragging about sexual conquest is prevalent, are rape-prone. While campuses where sexual assault is treated as a serious offense and women are respected as friends and equals, are rape-free. Another study pinpointed fraternity norms and values as being heavy contributors to campus rape. Victim-precipitated rape, which is actually a myth, occurs when the offender interprets the woman's initial behavior as consensual to sexual relations, but she retracts agreement before the actual act. Some interpret a ride or a drink from a stranger as an invitation for sexual intercourse and claim that the victim is as much to blame as her offender. But this is a male-biased view and part of a sexist myth. Unlike other crimes, rape is a continuing process in which the survivor keeps on suffering after the rape is over. The responses of rape survivors vary greatly. Police mistreatment of rape victims creates a feeling of being raped again. Traditionally, in the United States and other societies, the police were sexist, were often insensitive, and did little about the rape. The feminist movement has led to a significant decrease in police insensitivity, but problems still exist, especially when the police question the victim's moral character and behavior, which presumes that the rape survivor might have asked for the attack. Laws against rape are designed less to protect women and more to protect men's view of women as their property. In marriage, men feel entitled to use their wives as a sexual commodity, and husbands are rarely punished for raping their wives. The text goes on to discuss the culture of rape, and I'll spend a little time trying to summarize this section. Many societies have a hidden culture of rape that encourages males to assault females, influences men who are immature, irresponsible, and lacking in social conscience, and is evidenced in prevailing attitudes towards women and towards women and sex roles. Poor and black women are considered to be even less valuable sex objects, and they find it more difficult to win a rape conviction. The rape culture is seen in the fact that men view rape victims as despoiled and less lovable. The use of their images in violent pornography further illustrates the rape culture. This lack of respect for women promotes rape. Women are used as part of men's masculinity contests, which often resemble competitive sports. Here, women are used as objects to play with, and the only goal is to score. The attitude is found in gang rapes, the language men use to refer to sexual intercourse, and the social pressure to score. The role men learn to play requires them to be active, aggressive, or forceful in achieving social and sexual relations with a female. TV often perpetuates this role, and in real life, such sexual aggression may easily lead to forcible rape. The textbook offers a few theories as to why men rape women. You can read this section and try to get a sense of what the psychological viewpoint is, the sociological viewpoint, and the textbook also discusses how feminists blame rape on gender inequality, where rape is primarily an expression of men's dominance over women and thus a reflection of society's sexual inequality. According to feminists, rape serves to intimidate women, keeping them in their place and maintaining sexual inequality. The final piece of the chapter talks about men as victims and sheds light on prison rape. Despite the belief that men are too strong to be sexually assaulted, they are sometimes raped within and outside of prison. Male rape is common in prison, more so than men on women rape outside prison. This is because there is little public sympathy for convicted individuals who are convicts who are raping others. Rapists tend to go unpunished. Rapists are not segregated from young men, and unfortunately, the young men who enter into prison are the most likely to be raped, and oftentimes repeatedly raped by gangs of inmates. Some seek protection from a powerful inmate but become that inmate's sex slave, while others are forced into prostitution for money or to pay gambling debts. Prison rapists are like male rapists of women outside of prison. They are heterosexual, more powerful, and older. Most prison rape is intraracial. The primary motive for same-sex rape is the need to subjugate and humiliate the victim. And the last few pages of Chapter 5 are devoted to child molesting. Child molesting is a form of rape because the victim is too young and cannot legally give consent to sex. Girls are far more likely than boys to be molested. The majority of molesters are men. Molesters are more likely to know their victims. The molester is usually unmarried and rarely dates, and they often suffer from social incompetence or deficiency in social skills. Victims can suffer greatly from various problems, including post-traumatic stress disorder, behavioral problems, sexualized behaviors, and poor self-esteem. A social profile of child molesters shows that men who molest young girls differ considerably from rapists. They tend to be older, be more gentle and passive, be less likely to resort to violence, be less capable of dealing with the other sex, molest one child rather than many, and admit their guilt. They fail to meet the sexist cultural standards of masculinity and are scorned in prison. They are like rapists in that they victimize a person who is less powerful than they are. Men rarely molest boys, and those who do are not usually homosexual. Boy victims are more likely than other boys to grow up to be child abusers. Women even more rarely molest young boys. There is a gender difference in the ways victims of child molestation deal with anger. Boys are able to externalize anger and express outrage at what happened to them, while girls tend to internalize their anger and blame themselves and are more likely to become victims again later in life. And that concludes Chapter 5.